this morning I was going for my run. It was probably around 4 in the morning, and like it was really dark out, of course. But the only times I could really see anything was when I would go under like a road light, whatever you call them, you know. So I'd be running and I'd go under the light, and of course instantly I see my shadow, whether it was like in front of me or depending on how the light shined, it was behind me. But you know, it's dark, so when I go under the light, for that time that I was under the light, I got like a perfect shape of my shadow as I'm running. And I'm focusing on that, and I'm looking, and I always look too deep into stuff, so I'd be looking at stuff and I'd be thinking about like metaphors for what, you know, that might actually represent or symbolize in like life or whatever. So first thing it got me to thinking of was like, I remember when I hate the name of term. I hate these terms that we use like spiritual awakening and shit like that. But for this, for the sake of conversation or discussion, I'll use that term. Like I still remember when the start of my, I guess you could say my enlightenment journey. I remember the first things that I felt in my life. And I'll tie this all back full circle, but first things I felt in my life were like a heightened sensitivity for like for what I deemed as darker forces. So when I first started feeling like that enlightenment within, like the first thing, like I said, I felt was darker forces, and I was made more aware of, to me, darker forces or darker energies around me, whether they be like the people around me or just people that I would come around and I'd be like, damn, they feel like dark energy and shit like that. And I think a lot of other people feel like this too, but like I say, everybody's journey is different, so you can feel free to tell me, oh, blah, 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 blah. But let me get back to it. So like I'm looking at this shit and I'm thinking, a lot of times, like that shadow that I saw, we feel these darker forces, and our first reflex is to want to get rid of them, or get rid of, or run away from them, or anything. But it was so funny because I'm looking at this shadow, and anybody knows that they know you can't outrun your shadow. Like, it's, in the end, it's like a direct reflection of you. So to me, to tie everything full circle, like what I know now is like that first stage of what I called my first stage, what I call like enlightenment or spiritual journey. I'm looking at that shit and I'm thinking now that those dark forces that I was feeling were like really a direct reflection of whatever dark forces were within me. A lot of times that, to me, that darkness that I was seeing in like everybody else, I was only recognizing it because it was like within me. To me, like one of the biggest laws, universal laws or spiritual laws is as within, so without. So like whatever forces I was feeling outside of myself were forces that I had magnetized to me from whatever I had going on inside. So I look at it now and I'm like, it's just funny because a lot of times on our journey, the first things we start feeling are these forces, and we see them in everybody else. We be like, oh, like, damn, I don't want to be around them anymore. I don't want to be around them because they're, you know what I'm saying, like, they got bad energy. You know what I'm saying? I need to get some sage. I need to go see a spiritual expert so they can give me an exorcism. But like, to me, knowing what I know now is like, really like the awakening or enlightenment process isn't to really, it's just as much everything that you start feeling as far as becoming sensitive to those dark forces outside of yourself. It says more about like whatever dark forces you have going in and whatever trauma that you might have inside that you were never dealing with or are never dealing with, or just past karma from, like, to me, my dark shit that's inside of me is so fucking dark that I was becoming aware of. Like, I'm talking about real satanic, evil type shit was like, that I know for a fact that like a lot of it had to do with I'm taking on my trauma and like trauma from my ancestors and like shit, just trauma and karma from, I guess, say my ancestors and shit, who knows, even like parents, grandparents, just shit like that. Like, I feel like a lot of shit that's inside of me is from like past lives on top of my own, because I got a lot of dark shit inside me anyway. But yeah, so I don't know, it was just cool because like I saw that, and to me that was like the light that I saw outside of myself was a direct reflection of, like, to me, the internal light that I felt in during the first stages of my like spiritual journey or spiritual awakening or enlightenment or illumination or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it was just wild. Because like I said, that light outside when I was running, I saw my direct shadow, which I refer to in this metaphor as like my lower self, like my darker forces. But it was a direct reflection of me. So I say all that to say this. If you see similarities between this, it's just interesting. I think I said what's what I need to say, but it's like, that shit's crazy, man. I don't know. I say all that to say this, like, that reflection when you see it, and you see that shadow, and it freaks you the fuck out. If you're not aware of it, you're looking at it, you can't outrun it, no matter which way the light is shining on you. If the light is on top of you, the shadow is somewhere like, if the light's behind you, I want to say the shadow is, boom, it's right in front of you. If the light's in front of you, then the shadow, and I think the light moves at times. So at times you'll feel like, you know, that the shadow is always on you. You can't outrun it. So I say all that to say this, like, a lot of the things we look for to get rid of whatever dark forces that we feel are around us and shit like that, you can't get rid of none of that shit, especially with stuff that's outside of you, in my opinion. I think it's just stuff you need to become aware of and just notice is there, and in the end, like, find some way to like internally go through it, or just treat it, or just live life in a sense to where in the end, like I said, just be aware of it. But you can't get rid of it. You can't outrun your shadow. You're never gonna outrun your shadow. Your shadow will always be there. Your lower self will always be there. So in the end, like for me with Nikkuism, it's all about trying to find balance between that lower self, that shadow self, and your higher self, which is, to me, being exposed, not exposed, but being shined on by that light. But in the end, to me, finding that balance is really just the part in between. It's really just the part in between the light and the shadow, which is yourself. To me, it's like you're a threefold person. And now I'm taking this shit even deeper than I thought. But to me, it's like a reflection of the Trinity. You got your lower self, you got your higher self, and like just yourself in general. And it's like the Trinity. It's a reflection of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But yeah, anyway, I don't know, man. But one thing I will say is, like, the darker those forces are that you feel like around you, it says more about the forces that are whatever going on within you. Know what I mean? So I don't know, it's just crazy. Because I know for a fact the forces around me are so fucking dark. But I also know for a fact that, like, the forces around me are like, I think you can only go as bright or go as high as the darkness that you go through, if that makes any sense. Like you're only as bright as your darkness. You know what I mean? Like if your dark side is super, 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 super dark, then in order for that balance, then your bright side's gotta be like fucking illuminating, like hurt the eyes bright. That's why I know for a fact, like the people that you do see that have like I don't know, that have like that bright light. Like I look at my mom and I be like, man, she just shines bright. It's so funny, I was talking to her the other day and she was like, I named my car Shine. I was like, what does that mean? She's like, Shine, because I was talking to somebody and they were just like, sometimes when you just see certain people and they just shine, they shine in a room or whatever, they shine bright. It's like she named her car Shine. But the funniest part to me was like when I heard her talking about that, I was thinking more about the person that she is. Like that's how I look at her, like she shines bright. But I know for a fact that like she shines so bright because the darkness that she's seen in her life, that she's overcome, and who knows, probably still overcoming, I don't know, is like so fucking dark. Like anybody who knows my mom, I don't know half of what's going on with my mom, but I know the stuff that I do know that my mom's been through is like really fucking dark. And the fact that she still shines is like, it's like the perfect reflection. Shit's crazy, man. But yeah, those are just my morning thoughts. I think I'm gonna call this shit Hobo Thoughts. But yeah, y'all have a good one.